So without further ado, Isabelle, I'll go ahead and hand it over to you. For everybody else, if you have any questions, concerns, feel free to shoot me a note or an email, and I can handle those. But I look forward to everybody participating. And Isabelle, thank you for joining.
Hello, everyone. I'm muted. I'm muted from the host. Hold on. I'm muted. Do you hear me?
We can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah.
Now you can. Okay, because I had this message saying I was muted by the host. So there we go. So I'm really happy to be here, everyone. It's so incredible to be everyone together, but from far away. So without further ado, I will already, give you a heads up about who I am. So I will make something clear. I am not an engineer. So I am not an engineer. I'm a 37 years old marketer. My first company was a web studio, and for more than a decade, I actually was a consultant at what we call UX strategy, which means I was doing as much. It's a UX for user-centric. So it touches to business models as much as just like interfaces and every little detail. So I like when things are very well organized, super fun to use, and easy, and intuitive. Okay. And no, I don't send anything in space. So that's not, I'm not going to talk about those kind of innovations. I will really bring you into the startup world. So how we are able to make grow companies out of thin air, with almost no resources. So I think that for a hackathon, maybe it can be give you some tricks and some inspiration, and maybe lower the stress level of having like a perfect prototype in 48 hours. I will tell you about my company, my startup. Very fast. I hate when conferences are all about a company. I hate that. So I will keep it very, very short. Okay. My smart journey is 2.5 years old. Okay. It's a Montreal company. So je parle français, mais avec un accent bien amusant pour les gens de France. So I'm a Quebecer, and we were 3 people at the beginning of the pandemic, and now we're 9 people. So we're experiencing a strong growth, and we've been doing more than soon 100 projects in 30 months. So it's been quite fast for us. So we had the time to test the technology we do sell. So what is my smart journey? It's a web tool, actually. That is super, super easy to use for putting content in a contextualized way in the public spaces or on objects. And we are really, really deeply into the tourism industry, mostly from museums that uses for audio guides, or for example, for answering Q&As, like very frequent questions in touristic bureaus, or self-guided tours, stuff like that. Okay, and I will give you just a few examples. So here's when the museums had to reopen after the pandemic. They couldn't use everything that was manipulations, so everything had to be touchless. So a museum could actually reopen in less than 2 weeks. They were able to deploy super fast. You have to know our technologies are ready to use. So what we do is really democratize the technology for an industry, especially when you think about patrimonial sites that usually don't really have an access to technology without it being a real pain for them. This is just another example. This is the touristic bureau of Old Montreal, but they use it for various things, as much as, you don't want to wait in line. Even before COVID, you don't like that, especially if you just need to know where are the closest bathrooms, and you have this line and this women talking about what could be the best restaurant in town. You just feel like, give me the information. So they've put many information, little signages, and people just scan them, and they're up and running. So they were able to automatize some very repetitive tasks from the staff, and actually make them focus on being what they do best, which is like help out, support, and being a concierge. Okay. So I will give you a live demo. So what I'm going to do, I will stop sharing. So this way you can see my face. So I will just show you how it works. So usually what we do, we just have little signs. So this is an example, which is, it's a farm, actually. They have a touristic tour, but they also sell products. okay, that are industrialized products. And they have like for kids too, they have for kids, stuff for kids, and they have different signages, and they are all interactive. So we are really a low tech, okay? So as I said to you, we don't send things in space, okay? And how it works is that every signage has either a QR code, if people know about it. If people are used to pay with NFC, they can use it, okay? Or they can still have a kind of just like a fallback, like you're using a short URL. And how it works NFC for people who are just curious, you just touch it and the content appears right on. So when they visit, they can actually, you just go closer and content appears, okay? So for people who were curious about how it works, and they will use it for various, they have various paths. And of course, they explain their products. So this way you get recipes, so you can know how to reuse it, how to integrate it into your daily use. So it creates fidelization. So let's say you have to repair, like an urban train, and you don't really remember how to use a tool. You could scan it and get, like right away info. So this is what we do. It's a technology that's really made to just like put like landing pages, short contents in the physical world. So I will start sharing again. So that was it for the presentation of my smart journey. Hold on, I didn't share the right thing. Hold on, not in the right place. They didn't give me. Yep. Sorry, technicalities. The window. There we go. Sorry. Okay, so today's talk it's called Fail Fast, Fail Often. It's about a methodology that is very, very, very renowned in the startup world, which is about iterating and failing. Okay, so I will talk about failing like for the next 30 minutes, and I will give you a lot of little examples. The first example I want to show you is one is in your industry. It's one client that we are really proud to have. We really, really enjoy working with them, and it's Air Canada. We did develop with them, for them, it was their idea, a way to order at the table. Okay, so we are in COVID, and we do have, there are some constraints of there are some constraints about how to, I'm trying to find a video at the same time I'm talking to you, and I'm going to show you how it works. So this is a YouTuber. He went in the lounge and he took, he did that. So let's see if that works. If you hear the audio, do you hear the audio? Do you hear the audio? I see Catherine who says no. Time on technology, it's not a good idea. So I will share again. So mostly how that works, I will show you the image. So what he's saying is that one of the main features is a touchless table service. So he goes there, he can scan, and he points his phone, he places his order. The order is sent to the kitchen, and it's delivered directly where you're sitting. Okay, so this is how it works. And you have to know that in our technology, we didn't have that. We didn't have it yet. It was not part of our offer. We did have a bunch of ways to put content. They needed that, okay? But we didn't have a way to manage menus. So what we did is actually we had to develop that feature especially for Air Canada. So how it works is that you have a signage. It's on every table. Every signage is different. So very easily we have an automatic idea of the table where the people are sitting. So there's a family, there's a couple, like business partners, and they get the menu that is available today. Okay, and every time of the day you have a special menu, and they can actually just choose by clicking. They will get special info about this specific meal. Okay, so you have the ingredients. If you have allergies, you get the information about the allergies, and you can order it. You can order it. So let's go in the lounge just for fun, and let's make a test. This is the live demo, and we are right now in Toronto Pearson Airport in the domestic lounge, and right now it's 11:27 in the morning for me in Quebec City, and because I'm Quebec right now, and I can have choices between those lunch snacks. Okay, let's say I have a kid, I could choose, for example, for like a little penny Mariana, but let's say I want to take a margarita flatbread. I heard it was delicious, and I will order it. So then they tell me to keep my mask on. They can put extra information, a survey. They can give me access, for example, to the publishing, like a virtual. The virtual publishing tools, like for example daily newspapers, etc. And meanwhile, my order has been sent to an email that is actually in the kitchen. Okay. And as you can see, so they know it's a test, so they're not going to look for a customer needing a margarita flatbread. But and then suddenly, they get already the information. They know where to send it and to whom to send it. And which is interesting. If I had ordered it in the French version, actually the content would be in French. So when they bring out my meal, they will talk to me in my own language. Okay, so there we go for what we did with Air Canada. The most important part you have to know is that it's been launched in 3 weeks. So Air Canada is a huge company. It's not as big as Thales, but still it's a big company. And to be able to launch in 3 weeks, it's been like a kind of little miracle. And those are actually the real true dates that we had. Okay, and this is when we've launched. So let me tell you a bit about it. So we are part of an incubator, which is a touristic incubator. So it's a sectorial incubator, and they did put us in relationship with Air Canada 18 to 24 months ago. Okay, so and they did know about us. And Lynn Haroun, who was the worldwide head of all the lounges of Air Canada, she told me at that time, I have this dream to upgrade the service, and I'd like to have order at the table. Okay, and she told me about it, and at the time we did produce an estimate, but you know how it works, daily life operations, etc. So we never really went forward with that. And June 24th, which is actually like a holiday in Quebec. Okay, the phone rang at the office, and she said, "Hi, Isabelle, let's do this." And she said, "It's in a month, exactly in a month. So we have only that time. Can you make it?" And of course, it's a big company. They already have an app. They have a big, huge IT department. So the first thing we had to check is they had their first pick. So we checked with them, was it okay to actually externalize that feature? Was it okay for them? Of course, they were swamped. They had many other things to deal with. And also, but they asked, if it really works well, can you eventually integrate it in the app? Can we make kind of a technical bridge for that? And of course, we said yes, because there was a way. And this is that moment, from the 24th to the 7th, this is the moment, that kind of blurry moment where we didn't know if there was a project, but if there was one, we should start working on it. There was this kind of a little moment. And also there was an internal presentation, because there are many people involved in those kind of projects. You can guess, like a branding, a customer experience, like a logistics, people actually operating the lounge itself, etc. There were many people. And the kickoff, the go was on the 7th, and we had 10 days to actually have an internal launch to test it. And the public launch was 24th, and it has to be a high-end product without bugs and it has to be flawless. So how was that possible? Okay. So you have to know that we did interact with more than 20 people at Air Canada. They all had to work on that, and they all had to commit to, even if they were in the middle of the pandemic and they had a lot of work to do, they had to commit actually that they would be able to deliver to. So there was an important moment, and Lynn Haroun, she did actually make all those people sit around the table, and she made sure that they would all go forward. And how did she do that? She did that by actually suggesting that it was an iterative process. We would start with something which is just a section of one of the lounges of the Toronto Pearson Airport, which is not everywhere. If she had said, "Oh, let's reinvent the way we do food serving in all the lounges in the world," that would actually have taken more than 3 weeks to design. Okay, so you have to know that it was just it's human factor. If you put 20 people in the same room, they all have their point of view. Just making them agree on one project, whatever the project is, even if it's a party in the weekend, it can take time. You can remember when you were your teenage years, those discussions, endless discussions about what to do tonight. So so first what she said, like, we're starting off, we're testing. And she said, we're going to learn, because now there's a pandemic. We think we know very well our elite customers, and we know, like, who comes in our launches, but maybe things have changed. So we will launch it and we will learn from it. And we will not do all the functionalities we have in our heads. We will do just the beginning. And by having the feedback and the experience, the experience in the lounge itself with the real people, we will know which ones are to prioritize and which ones to do. So this way, everyone could get on board, because it was not a test, because it was a very important product in their strategy, but it was okay actually to not do everything right away. Like, for example, we are a content management system, but we did not have right away the system to manage the menus. But all she needed was a menu to be able, was people to be able to order. And she didn't change the menu for another week. So she could, we had this extra week for creating this functionality. So we really did a, reverse engineering calendar. And we made sure that every step we did exactly what was needed for the next one, but nothing extra, more. And that is interesting. It could be done also because they use a startup. Okay, usually Air Canada doesn't use startups, especially for core projects like that. But they needed to borrow the agility. Startup people are really passionate, and they're used to create innovative projects under pressure on weekends and evenings and nights. And they really needed us to do that. So what you have there is a picture of us, like, working. It was more past midnight, and we were completely burned because it was at the end of the 3 weeks, and we were hilarious. Everything was hilarious to us because we were really tired, and we were just making the little small tweakings before the launch the next day. So you have a picture. Fun fact: at My Smart Journey, we do hire every type of people, but by pure, it's a pure hazard, we only have women in the tech team. Usually you have the notion of men and just few drops of women. And no, we only have women. So we're a women technology-led company. So some key success factors for doing that, and that was all led by the launch team. So we have Lynn Haroun, Véronique Hamel, and we also have Joy. And what they did is that everyone else that was involved in the process, that had ideas and they had pointers, they were listened, and the information was kept. So it was kept for later use. Okay, so everyone has been taken, accounted. Okay, and no one was forgotten in what they wanted to input, even if the project was going very fast. Another key success factor was they decided to work on the data. As I told you, the data would tell what else would be done. So, I showed you a video of a YouTuber. So they checked also how the clients did see the project, like what was their pains, if we could make the experience smoother, et cetera, et cetera. They were listening to every stakeholder. So, even employees working there, or the partner that actually is making the food and serving it. It's a partner. So we had a meeting with them, and they told us their concerns, their experience, logistically, etc. And we kept moving fast. So 2 days after the launch, we had another meeting. We took all those feedback, and it was just like, okay, let's go next. Okay, let's do the next round. Let's do the next phase. Those are the next launches. By the way, today we're launching a third launch, and we are soon doing a fourth. And of course, we're looking toward Europe as when the air travel will be reopened. Oh, this should not be there. So there was tangible benefits for this product. Okay. First, it's COVID. We want employees to stay safe. So when they had to move less around the lounge, they were more protected. And when we don't allow passengers, and visitors to be, running around and touching everything, we reduce the risk actually for contamination. So that's that was the first concern. So this way they could really make the environment safer. After that, they wanted it to be premium. So buffets were a very core product for lounges. So when you remove that, how can you do that? Well, you have to leverage and make it even more premium. So we bring the food at the table. The passengers have been saying that actually really liked it because they were feeling uncomfortable sometimes to go to the buffet because there was still their luggage staying there at the seat, or they had to bring them all and at the same time take the food. So it's really brand comfort. It's feedbacks are very good. And also, it's an efficient way to operationalize this. You have to think that if you take a server to come in, browse around, find someone, take their order, maybe depending of the chit chat, it can take from 1 to 3 minutes to actually serve, $1 to $3, in terms of, price of the time for this waiter. It's $1 to $3 to actually just take an order. For us, depending on volume, it will cost from something between 2 to 5 cents. So it's very cost effective. Without knowing, actually, Air Canada team actually did implement the Lean Startup principles. Okay, so they were not trained to do that, but the way they did that, and actually have nothing to do with that, they actually just did it a way that a startup would have done it. So what I want to bring out today for you, and for Europe, you're going to sleep, so you can sleep on that. And America, you're gonna start innovating. So I hope that it will give you a few pointers of how you can do it faster. Okay, so the Lean Startup principles were written the first time, in a very, very a very concise and fashionable way by Eric Rice. So if you want to read about that, I really strongly suggest that book. If you don't have a lot of time, go and look for the Lean Startup principles. There is a nice summary in the Harvard Business Review article. So it's just like 6 pages, has great graphics, and it will do the trick too. So you can go look for that. And the key point of doing a lean startup, lean, it's a word coming from the the industrial chains, like how to be lean. Okay, so it's one of the key principles is the MVP. Okay, which stands for minimal viable product, which is the simplest expression of your product. So it's a way to actually build a product faster, but not building all the features. So for example, a plane, the simplest feature is actually being able to, go up in the air with passengers and luggages in and actually arrive to the other place and actually, do that smoothly. This is the MVP of a plane. So what is the simplest way of playing? This is one example. It's a startup in Montreal that do electronics, and they do a lot of vending machines and distribution machines. And they had this idea that actually we could replace a barman for doing cocktails by having a big machine with a touch screen, and people would actually just choose their drink, margarita, for example, or I don't know, daiquiri, and they would put their credit card. The machine would mix it and give the cocktail. So the assumption that there would be a market for that is that people actually are okay to not have a barman mixing it. Okay, so they are okay to touch a screen, order, and receive it from a box. So that is the basic hypothesis, and this is the basic MVP. So did they build the whole machine to test it? No, what they did, they took a cardboard box and they did hide in the box, and they delivered with their hand. So it seems it was hilarious because people weren't expecting a hand there. And there was a guy and he was mixing it. So no technology needed. Actually, he could do it right away. Okay, so that's the base. That's the basic. That's the most visible example of what would be actually to use the Lean Startup principles. You don't wait a long time before validating an idea. Another example would be, for example, you want to sell, like a monthly box of, I don't know, yoga, clothing, jeans, I don't know, food. And what you could do is actually start making contracts with providers and start, for example, having a warehouse and put a big, huge website transactional, and it can cost like $100,000 to put that on track, and a few months. And or what you can do is just hire a designer for designing a false web page that is actually just an image, and actually you just track the people who click on sign up. And then you know if there is a basic interest in your product even before even lifting your finger and trying to make it work. So for example, you click on it, you could put just a pop-up saying, oh, I'm sorry, our website is not ready, you know, like please give us your email, we'll send you an email when it's ready, or something like that. So that is the lean startup principles. When you think about it, it's about using the hypothetical deductive method, which we have in science, but you apply it to the business world, actually. So let's remember, what is the scientific method, you know? So there is something happening in the world, you know, we see something happening, gravity, you know, volcano, whatever. We check it, we see it, and then we start formulating theories, you know, like, gravity works this way. So you say, okay, let's test it. Let's validate my, let's make an hypothesis, and let's try to invalidate it, and try, or validating it, go toward it, toward more learning and more truth. So mostly how it works is that, you know, when you have a scientist that actually has invalidated his hypothesis, he can also publish, because we don't only publish successes, we do publish also the fact that we narrow the field of knowledge. So we know it's not that. So we know so much, you know, we know it's not that. So in the business world, we have exactly, when you use the lean startup principles, we have exactly the same circular motion. We have an idea. Oh, let's do, you know, like a cocktail machine. We do a testing. Oh, there's you know, like for example, there's a college party. Let's go there. Let's build our cardboard and just do it. And then you measure. Okay, there were 100 people. Out of those 100 people, let's say 16 people came in. Okay, does it worth my time to do business out of that? Or, oh no, 90% of the people did actually come and order a cocktail, and another 50% of those did actually order 2, 3, or 4 more. Oh, that is so interesting. So every time you learn, so let's say the cardboard, you know, they've done it, and let's say people tell them, oh, when did you deliver the cocktail, you know, the little flap, the little, you know, hole to deliver the cocktail is too low, you know, you should put it higher. So the next party, they would just put it, they learned, so they will put it higher, you know, and they will do some iterations. So it's a circular motion, and the most you do it, as many times as you do it, you learn, and you learn super fast. Okay, so we try to not have big ideas. We try to just take one hypothesis and validate this hypothesis. So this is on a wall of an incubator in California. It's a Seth Godin quote, which says, "Fail fast." So super fast, you know, like in 2 weeks, let's try to just launch something and try it, and cheap. Okay, so don't waste too much money on that, because maybe there's no business there. Fail often. I'll come back on that. Okay, how important it is to fail often, and fail in a way that doesn't kill you. Okay, so let's say they had this idea of having this cocktail machine, and they've been working 3 years on that, and they will launch it. If for example, the machine wouldn't work, or no one would want to buy it, it would be a major fail. It would be very hard also, you know, in terms of, you know, like on morale. And also it's a lot of time and investment. Okay. So fail often is about, it's a theory that says, try to always find ways to learn. Because when you have a success in business, let's say when I sell to a client, I don't really know why I do have the success. You know, success is like a clear path. You know, you just move forward. You don't really know from left. You don't really know right. You're not sure exactly of the playing field you have. Maybe you could have, you know, like, you know, ask for being paid more. Maybe you could have had, you know, like extra features that people would have bought. So actually, it's about trying to always learn from, you know, like testing, you know, like testing the whole field, so you can get limits. You can you know, you can know exactly what's the size of your playground in business. If you want to, you know, like when we were teenagers, we're always like, oh, I would do a great, you know, company of t-shirts, you know, it would be like this. Well, I can start just opening a factory and start, you know, like making a distribution system in the whole country. Or I could just, you know, like do them myself, just do a bunch of them, and, you know, put a table on a street and just see if people want to buy that. Okay, so it's very simple. It's back to the lemonade stand, like just see if you are able to sell that thing before just like getting into like building a logo, having a website, setting up everything. So MVP. You remember I told you about the NFC? The NFC was actually something that was, when I started the company in 2018, for me, it was a key feature. Okay, so there was no pandemic coming by. I could not have foreseen that everyone would actually learn about QR codes. At the time, you have to remember that QR codes were locked. To unlock them, you needed a special application, which people didn't know about. They didn't know that. But NFC was, something that was interfabricated in the most recent phones, and it was just like tap and go. So I had this perception that actually my most valuable value as a business was actually the NFC. Okay, and with time, actually, it's not that. It's the fact that our system, the way it's done, it has absolutely no learning curve. So it's so easy. It's ready to deploy. Actually, no one has to do a training to use My Smart Journey. It's just like, just go there. So, and it works. So from the mind of someone who has an idea to the index of a visitor, there is like just minutes away. So that is the real value proposition. But at the time, I didn't know that. And I had this amazing opportunity. There was this kind of event, and there would be many very great potential clients. I was at the very beginning of the company, and one of those potential clients was the Club Med. And I was like, oh my God, I really want to sign them. They would be a great first client, So, and then I said, okay, let's order NFC. So it took me a while to know where I could find out the NFCs. And I didn't know how to encode that. I didn't know how they worked, and I don't know if I would have had the time to learn all of that before that special event. So what I did, I do have two kids, two girls. So they have a lot of cardboard. As you know, I'm talking about cardboard all the time. So, and I did just like stick 5, I don't know if you can see, but I did stick 5 layers of cardboard. So I had a very thick little token, and I just did a big round, and there we go. I had the false token. Okay. And I will just show you how I did that. So let's say I have the token. And so I was in this event, and I went and I was, Club Med is here. So walk toward them and I say, I have this great idea. Would that interest you? And I say like, okay, it's not real technology, but let's say it is. And it's really a verbatim of how it happened. So I said like, okay, look at that. It's NFC. And when you touch it with your phone, content appears. And I had a Post-it, and I just stick the Post-it there. They say, so you touch it, content appears. Isn't it great? And literally it was pitch on a Post-it. And I did that to other clients, and they all said, like, you know what? Come to the office and show my team. I'm very interested, but please come with a better prototype, because this one is kind of, it's basic. And this is how I knew there was interest into my company. I could make a company out of that. So we did a prototype in 4 days. And it was not good. It was not perfect. It was ugly. It had a few bugs, but still the concept was clear. So the team at Club did actually play with it. They could use it, and they ended up actually buying it. I will find out, where is my screen again? Where is my screen? There it is. And they actually did buy it. And they bought two times, actually. So they were one of the first clients we had. They did this huge map that is like 4 or 5 meters tall. And it has like various experiences at Club Med. So it was called Live Your Bucket List at Club Med. And you could learn that actually Club Med is not only, sandy beaches. It's also, like, for example, going in the Alps and, do skiing with the family. Okay. And the first version of the commercial version of our product, which was not, like the prototype we showed them, only could accept images, text, and YouTube videos, which was super basic. But still, we were able to buy it. Okay. We were able to sell it. So what is an MVP? An MVP is actually a complete product. Okay, it has to be, some people call it the most lovable product. It has to be delightful. You have to get to the end of the experience. If I had just do a Wix web page, you know, with a short URL, it wouldn't have worked because I couldn't have verified the fact that people needed ready to deploy, you know, like signages that could actually provide content in the public spaces. Okay, so your MVP has to be quick and easy to make. It has to have you know, limited features so you don't take too much time doing it, but it's tested in real conditions. It's in the hands of the market, of real people. Okay, so if you do you know, like a soap bars, you know, maybe and you think that your main feature is actually what it does on the skin. It doesn't, you don't care if they don't look great, if they're not completely squared. What you want to test is only the look and feel, which is completely different. It's a paradigm shift from the traditional product development process, okay, which leads to only one prototype and only one launch. So you do it in linear way. The prototype has all the features that the end product would have, but it's not for every hand. On the contrary, when you do an MVP, you put it in all hands, even if it's a bit imperfect, and you test and learn. So the lean startup principles are not for every moment. It's not all the time. So if you know, for example, you already sent, you know, the satellites in space, and you just need to make it faster or bigger, or you know about it. You know what is required from you, and you know how to do it. So this is a traditional. So it's simple. If, for example, you know what is required from you, but you don't know how to do it, it's complicated. This is kind of innovation, but still it's manageable. If you know how to do it, but you don't exactly know if people are gonna like it, you're gonna test it with users. It's still complicated, but it is you use that traditional system. But if you don't really know, a startup doesn't know who they are selling to. They have an idea. They don't really know how to operate this idea. And depending of who wants to buy it, it's not exactly the same features. So it's not exactly the same technology. So it's very, very blurry lines. So then this is when the lean startup is a good idea. So let's say traditional method is like having an arrow and having a target. You really know what to do. It's very efficient. And let's say that lean startup would be much more like, how you call that, a missile chercheuse. It's like a missile that finds its target by itself. So if the market moves, you can follow the market, okay? So where we are at in My Smart Journey, we're starting to have things we know. So in some contexts, we start having traditional iterations. So it's really about reducing the unknown and master the risk and be able to shrink the time. So I really took time to show you that it's a hypothesis at the time you want to test. So you don't need to do everything. So it doesn't, if you're testing like a feature like for the soap that it's good for the skin, you don't need it to be cute. You do that in another step when the hypothesis is, does it need to be cute to be bought? Okay, so you can somehow botch the rest. So you're gonna do a hackathon. Please feel free to botch parts of the prototypes. Just focus on what's important. And if you're like me and botching makes you uncomfortable and stressed out, okay, so I give you my trick. Actually, I decided to do perfectly the lean startup method. So that's my way of staying perfect, a perfectionist. So I do it, like I just take pride into making multiple iterations. Okay. And the founder of LinkedIn, he said, if you're not embarrassed by the first version of your product, well, you've been launching too late. So when they asked me to do this talk, they said, please show us embarrassing things. So I'm just going to show you a few things to show you that the lean approach is not limited to product development. It's really about everything. So I needed a logo and a name to be able to get a grant. So I invented one super fast. Okay, so I liked the customer journey. I knew it would have an impact on that. So I wanted to call it Smart Journey. But maybe you know it, Smart Journey is a French company that does actually customer journey in airports. So I added the my, and it was really like 1150. And I just put that name, and I'm still living with this name, getting used to it. We tried to have other names, which takes time. We tried to trademark them, and they never worked. So that's an example. And this first logo was actually made by an AI on a website. And I was so cheap that I actually just did a kind of, I didn't pay the $50 to actually extract it. I just took a print screen. So that's an example of being lean. The first website was a Google Doc. It was just a Google Doc, and at the time in 2018, not everyone had a Google email, so people couldn't get on that. It doesn't matter. I had this Google Doc. It was done super fast, and look at that. I had I found that in my archives, and I had written, how it works, and actually just put it there, and it did work. I asked people, "Do you understand?" They said yes, so I kept it. I never designed it, and I told you I had the prototypes. We did the prototypes better. So I took a picture and I added there. And it was really, really, really ugly. Even if I kept iterating that website, it was very ugly. But still, we had people calling us. So it was good enough for the moment being at that time. Even now, when you go to our website, which was done in like 5 hours in the middle of the night, because we had a very important presentation next day, we kept keeping like Google Slides and presentations. So this way we don't need to bother the whole team, like for changing the contents, because you have to know that we don't know what we sell and we don't know who we sell to when we start. So we keep changing the pitch. For pricing, I'm finishing. Catherine, she keeps correcting me 3 minutes. So this is the pricing. So at first we did an offer for $1,000 and it was unlimited. Yes, we did that, and clients were like, really? And we had clients who signed that, and some of them took us like more than 100 hours, so it was not a good deal for us, but we did learn a lot from that, and we kept then when people asked us for estimates, we kept raising the price, and people were like, yeah. So and at one moment I kept raising the price and people frowned, so this is where I stopped. So I said, okay, I can iterate my pricing, but it has to stop there. And I wanted to still raise the money, so I raised the pricing. So I realized that in the touristic industry, they used to have setup fees. So I added setup fees, which raised the capital I could get to actually run my company. And people were fine with it. So from $1,000 for a project, we went to about, now the projects are between $8,000 to $25,000. So, which is very good for us, but at the same time, the clients find the price point super good. So you can iterate also pricing. When we try new functionalities, we do go super fast too. If it's just for one client, we're not sure of the functionality, we will hard code it. So we call it the cowboy coding. We actually just shoot code. No one can understand that code. It's bulky, it's bad, it has bugs. It doesn't matter. It's just for testing. But if we did sell it to a few clients, we will then make code, but it has to go out super fast because they paid. So we have to serve it. So we will do fast coding. We won't actually just document it and make it clean and ready to actually, put more code on it. So even eventually later, we will clear the technical debt and we will do that. But sometimes there are 3 or 4 months later, or maybe it's because we did sell another feature and we needed to actually, attach it to the last feature, which was not clean. So we will clean it so we can make this one bulky. But this is how we will iterate. We will go super fast. Okay. So we think that the current success we have at My Smart Journey is actually the result of carefully crafted failures. We really made sure to always have space for fading, for testing. We have a lot of clients with who we say, we will give you this part free, but please let us test it at your place. Let us, give us feedback, etc. We do that, all the time. Every week we do test something new. And this is how we got to win a lot of prizes that put us in a very comfortable context where we win a lot of innovation prizes. I don't have the time for the last inspiration. So it was a video. And anyway, the sound doesn't work, but it's about. I think it's very great. I will give it to. I will give the link to Catherine if she wants to share it. It's about how McDonald's did invent fast. How they invented fast food. Traditionally, when you would order a burger, it would take 30 minutes to deliver it, and they got to put it down to 30 seconds. So how did they do that? Well, they could have had an idea of how to make a kitchen faster and build it and learn from it. But they took a day. Instead, they took a day and they went on a tennis court with chalks. And this is the true story, by the way. And they just asked their cooks to do, pretend burgers. And they saw how they were interacting, on the field. And there were some places where there were friction points. It didn't go as fast as they wanted. So they kept iterating until it was good. And when it was perfect, then they asked an architect to actually build exactly that. Okay. So there we go. So that was my presentation in a nutshell, how to fail fast and iterate in a startup way.
Do we have one or two questions? Maybe we can have time for that.
So,
no. Well, I do have one. I do have one. This is really exciting. Thank you so much, Isabelle, for telling us your your journey as an entrepreneur. And so then, could you tell us what you want to do next as an entrepreneur and your next move?
We are inventing modules that are about what makes it special to have multimedia interactivity when you're in a physical context. Let's say you are, during a touristic journey, and actually what you need is to be with with what's around you, the sightseeing, the landmarks, etc. So you don't want, usually what you want in interactivity is to deep dive into, like immersion. And instead we're building modules that makes you just get info to open more and actually share more with your family. So we do have, like, for example, random modules, little, photo booths and stuff like this. So what we want to have next is actually become the most innovative PWA. So it's like a progressive web app that there's in the world. Yes, we have this kind of aim, and actually being able to really be everywhere and ubiquitous. So if anyone in the assistance want to help out, we need that.
Hey, thank you so much, Isabelle, for sharing that. And plus, Alan, he commented while you were presenting, saying this is an amazing idea. And then he said, during your journey, what is the most difficult thing that you had to overcome?
It was teaching the market about the fact that it's possible to scan while you are, moving around in the public space. So to teach that to an industry that is actually still learning about how to do a website is a tremendous education. But for us, the pandemic has been like a kind of a super fast learning curve for everyone. So now it's quite easy, and we get a lot of calls for that. So that's done. So, but that was very hard. For 2 years, it's been very, very hard.
And then for the last question, we have Lee Lamont. If you can turn your mic. Lee, can you hear us? Do you want to write it in the chat?
One thing I learned, maybe while we wait for this question, maybe that, for doing a hackathon would be useful, or anyone, is one thing that I realized that we were producing as an effect, as a company, as a tool, because it's so easy to use. We realized that our clients start having a pure joy of creating stuff, and actually it's like our platform created permission. Sometimes when we want to do innovation, we are stuck into, oh, it's not going to look good, people will laugh about me, it doesn't feel so. And we teach them that actually, if they have just one image to express what they want to say, they can put that image, but tomorrow when they get the right one, they can change it and do another one. It's like it's a forgiving technology, and it makes people feel they have the permission to try. And when you do that, they realize they have all the tools inside of them to actually produce multimedia interactivities and experiences for their clients, which they know very well. And they realize they have that. And even if they were not digitalized in theory, they realize it's possible. And it creates a lot of empowerment. So what I would say is, please, everyone, feel you have the possibility to do it.
Thanks so much, Isabelle, for the presentation. That was really great to see what you've been working on and everything else. And I know you're an amazing entrepreneur and wish you the best. Thank you so much for joining today.
I was really happy to be there. Bonne nuit pour l'Europe and goodbye.
Thank you so much.